Hello, everyone. My name is DD Damage and Momau. I am the number one open graded player in global, and I want to talk to y'all about open versus graded so that some of you can honestly just make better decisions right now. I want to glance through Gemini Cup results, and yes, I mean specific with Gemini Cup, even though that one was several months ago, because that will probably open some people's eyes about all of this. And I want to discuss a lot of differences between graded and open for everyone. So, first and foremost, the reasons people recommend graded. I do think there are very real reasons to do graded. Uh, just do graded is very popular with a lot of the other content creators, and there's a good reason for that, and I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about what graded versus open looks like, though, like in general, as any given cup, right? We'll be using Gemini as a great example because it'll make things easier. So first things first, why do people recommend just do graded? More than anything else, quote unquote, the rewards are better, quote unquote. We're just saying that a lot, by the way. Quote unquote, the rewards are better. You might go, well, look at these numbers, right? If I look at graded round one, oh my gosh, you're making like 20 more carrots and like 1,000, 200,000 more more monies and statues, and it's so good, right? No, not really, right? So, like, first off, you need to eyeball something here. 5 win finish rewards is worth 30. 3 win rewards are worth 30. Huh? That's the same. So, uh, what do you need to in order to get these rewards? You need to win, right? If you're not winning, you don't get these rewards. Let's start with that first, okay? You might go, well, I just need 3 wins in graded, right? Well, what's the big deal? I need 5 wins in open. Well, in open, if you can make a graded Uma that can win 3 wins, you could probably also make an open Uma who can win 5. Let's just be real with you, okay? I don't know who's been telling you otherwise. That's just the case. And frankly, most of you can't make Uma that can get 3 wins in graded consistently per round. All right. We'll talk about how I know that later, but for now, we need to flash some numbers past you, okay? Uh, what happens if you don't win? Well, if you don't win, the rewards kind of suck. All right. Uh, there is a certain floor where, like, if you're doing so terribly that it didn't matter what you were doing, you would have lost no matter what for open versus Uma. Like, if you're losing no matter what, then don't do the competition. Please focus on the finale and the Unity Cup instead. All right. But this isn't what most people are doing. Most people are just eating dirt and then saying, "Well, this is fine." And frankly, the thing that I think bothers me the most about this is like your mental suffers a lot from continuous failure. Okay, like you're setting yourself up for like just really bad days. Like this is why a lot of people quit Uma. Right? They're quitting Uma because they had really terrible results and they don't know why because they've been recommended to go to this place, not understanding what the expectation is. All right. So let's talk about expectations. Right. Uh, Soon. First, we need to talk about more reward stuff, right? The next reward I need to talk to y'all about is what the rewards actually look like. I don't know why no one ever says anything, but graded B rewards are the exact same as open A. So if you look at round two of of every cup, every round two says grade A 100 carrots, 4 statues, 7,500 monies, 3,500 of the support points. Would you look at that? 100 carrots, 4 statues, 7,500 monies, 3,400 support points. They're the exact same, right? I don't know why this is mentioned nowhere, right? There's not a single place that talks about this. I don't understand why, right? They very much assume that you're going to win a lot, um, and I have very large reason to believe this is not the average person. Uh, I'll spill the beans as to why later, but I'm going to give you a number to think about, okay? The number I need the most of you to think about is that your average person in in graded has a 16% win rate. Okay, uh, I know that off of a combination of my own statistics that I've been keeping track of, Moo statistics that he keeps track of. I've been in and out of Victoria Frontier server. Right, take it for granted that like if you assume each ticket is 5 races and each person raises 4 tickets per day, right? And to get to grade A, you need 6 wins, right? So 3 in round 1 and 3 in round 2, right? On one ticket, right? You're probably looking at a lucky tick for that person, right? Like every other ticket is 1 or fewer wins, by the way, right? Again, I need most people to stop lying about this, right? The people who are doing better than that tend to be the sort of person that would have won well anyways, right? You're the person who has seen every Victoria Frontier video, you've seen every Red New video, you've seen every Moo video, you've seen Jockey X XS, right? You've seen everything. You've tracked everything. You've paid money. You've invested into the good cards, or you spun around and redid your account until you got good cards, right? Like there's a reason you have a better win rate. That's not your average person. All right, your average person got what they did. They have probably never seen an Uma video, or if they have, they've seen like those really terrible like misinformation videos that are like that no one can confirm the stats of, right? And then you look at that, and so you assume, okay, round one graded. If I get one 3-win ticket, one single win ticket, and then two losses, that's 65 carats. That happens 2 days in a row. You get 130 carats for those 2 days. Then you look at round two for graded A, right? You got 50. You got one round where you did good. You did 50 wins, right? Because you got one 3-win ticket, right? Over there, and then you got one more ticket where you got one win, and then every other thing is participation awards. So you showed the frick up, right? So you get participation awards for your other tickets. That's another 240 carats, right? You're getting third in the finale. If you're doing that terribly, right? Unless you have a Kayla moment and you're just absolutely screwed over, you're probably just gonna get like this over here. Don't lie. Uh, and I want to compare this with Open. So what does the average person do in Open? So your average person usually gets at least one ticket where they have a clean slate, so a full sweep. They also get at least one ticket where they have a 4-win streak, and then no one that is participating at a decent level is getting anything less than 3 tickets. And yes, this actually does represent an average. It turns out when you have a cap on stats, it's a lot harder to be so explosively good that other people can't compete with you. That means that even the very top level of competitor in Open is always at risk for losing every single race. Okay, you need to understand how much easier it is to win in Open, right? It's not just a matter of getting lucky like it is in graded. In graded, you do need to get a lot of luck. In opens, there's a lot more pacing involved in it, and you are much more likely to win just because your average person got probably lied to and got put to graded instead. So your average person that's in participating in open actually has a 75% win rate. Yes, I know the average, right? There are people who are lower. Everyone picks on them. I know. All right. So what do we get? Well, you got first or second in the finale. You got those 15 wins per day. You're actually looking at more rewards than if you just randomly completed and graded. And by the way, this is the floor for a lot of people. The majority of people that I personally interact with are higher than this, right? I myself routinely get like 2,000 carats per open integration, right? Like it's crazy that like anyone recommends graded for resource reasons if they're not participating at a very high level, right? Now, I will say this is a reason to do graded, right? The rewards are saying a lot, okay? These rewards are amazing. Look at this. 150 for a 5-win streaks. If you can consistently get that 5 win, absolutely do this. Look how cool this shit is, right? Look how awesome this is. That's a lot of money, right? You can do a ton of damage with that stuff. Absolutely lock in. If you can do this, if you have the 9 blue slash 9 pink sparks, if you have the perfect mamas, all the good MLB, right? Do it. It's so good for you, right? But let's kind of eyeball what this looks like, okay? Um, One of the things I also hear people say for just doing graded is oh, you can make an A rank Uma, just do graded, right? Let's look at these. So this Uma on the left is a round two graded B Uma. What does that mean? So for Gemini Cup, this was an Uma that had Turf S, Medium S, 1,000 speed, 1,129 stamina, a chunk of power, like good stats, very good stats, right? But they were unable to secure the 16 wins across that they needed across 16 tickets, right? They couldn't do it. They never once made it integrated. All of their tickets were 2 wins or less. They never made it integrated or graded A, right? Uh, and over here on the bottom, we have an Uma that's considered the bottom of graded A, right? They barely got 3 wins per ticket, okay? And they had a couple of other wins on some other Uma for this person, right? But you'll notice they're not really much better. Okay, like there is a noticeable difference, right? Turf S Long S was really hard on like on Gemini Cup, right? But they're not so much better that they're gonna be. That you should expect gold, and this is probably better than what the average person is bringing integrated, right? So let's also talk about that first one, right? So again, we're gonna make sure we acknowledge this, right? So the one on the left is the one that has barely done any wins. That's this Uma. You know what this Uma had? Full MLB. All right. They had the Sweep Tosho. They had their own copy of Kyosan Black. They had the fully leveled up everything. Everything here that they did was MLB. It didn't fucking matter, right? Their other Uma also MLB. Not a single win on any of them, right? And when you look at that, you got to go, okay, well, how good is your Uma compared to this one? Like, think back to Gemini Cup. If you can remember it at all, think back to it, right? How good was your girl compared to this one? Did you get lucky? Because yes, if you did beat this Uma consistently, then you did get lucky and graded, right? Or you have an incredible deck and incredible mamas, right? This is not the sort of thing that your average person can rely on in the slightest, okay? So here's another example of like an Uma that you need to be able to beat, right? This Uma is considered low end of graded A. I think this is what most people expect, right? Turf S, long S, lots of speed, lots of stamina, every gold skill that they could want, right? Uh, and again, if you can beat this Uma consistently, yeah, go for graded, right? The difficulty might be high, but the rewards are great. But the thing is, I know that's not most of you, right? I know statistically, based off of what I've seen, based off the other Uma I've run into, based off of who I've talked to, based off the data I've collected, based on the data that other people have collected, these are your average A rank Uma, right? Most of you did not build dedicated Uma for the cups, right? Most of you build you take a team trial Uma, right? And you throw her in. Or you take an Uma that like has some nice bits, right? They have some of the things that you heard are good, and you roll her in. Like both of these have Swinging Maestro, right? And both of these have over 1,000 stamina. Neither of these are winners. All right, they win like 1 to 2 tickets, or 1 to 2 wins per ticket, maybe, right? It's not unusual for like Uma like this to have like 1 to 2 wins per day, right? So per 20 races, they get 1 or 2 wins, right? That's pretty normal for a lot of people. And like reminder, the Uma that's on the left is a lot stronger than these other ones are, right? It's faster. It has the S's, right? It has a higher baseline powers. It has more skills, and it still failed to get all the way up into graded A. Okay, that's not good. It's kind of bad even, right? So the question I have for you is, if you look at these two, if I compare the one on the right with the one on the left, how likely is it, do you think the one on the right is going to be able to beat the one on the left? I'm going to tell you now, it's not very likely at all, okay? If I look at that one and if I look at this one, this one on the right is probably losing most of its races, all right? Do you feel like more wins is realistic per ticket? Especially when there's no ceiling, and the ceiling will only get higher, by the way, especially with Unity Cup just coming out. So I've been experimenting with the Unity Cup. The main reason I didn't do great is because I did not have great cards. Okay, my best speed card for a long time was Guts Air Groove. Okay, that's how bad my deck was. Okay, I did not have good gotcha luck, right? And so what I need you to think of is that like until now, I've had terrible cards, but even with my terrible cards, I'm consistently making A ranks now in Unity Cup. It's incredibly difficult if you know what you're doing to not make an A rank in Unity Cup. The ceiling is about to explode, okay? If you can't beat either of these Uma consistently with the Uma that you make, you probably should not be doing graded, okay? Especially if you look at the one on the left and you look at the one on the right, these represent open Uma, good open Uma, with 55% plus win rates. 55% on a one Uma, not counting your other Uma, is fantastic. All right, and the thing is, like, how likely are you to make an Uma that can compete with these two? Well, let's look at the one. Let's look at this one on the left, right? Let's look at this one on the left. So 760 speed. Oh, doable, right? 870 stamina, power. Huh. Well, if you look at that, if you look at this Uma on the right, right, and then you look at this Uma over here, oh, yeah, no, that's very doable, right? It's very doable for you to make an Uma that can compete, right? Especially again considering these were top of the line in Gemini Cup. Neither one is a particularly fantastic, right? There's a single S between the two of them, both in long, right? They both have swing and maestro just like everyone else does, right? One of them has an extra gold. Their stat line is not that impressive if you compare it to any of the greatest stat lines, or heck, again, even compared to these Team Trial Uma, right? The stat line's not that great, and so what you want to think about is that like this is a 8,190 point stat, right? But or 8,190 points. This is 7,957. The winning with a gap of only 233 seems super doable. Okay, right? Like compare that gap to this gap here of a gap of over 1,000 points, and again, a gap that is only going to get bigger. You need to highlight this or more section in your head, right? Because graded is only going up from here. How likely do you think the Uma on the right can beat the one on the left versus what happens in graded? So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that like yes, I am the sweat that plays open, right? I am that person. But I'm trying to tell you that like uh graded versus open is not what people have told you. It's not, oh, graded's always better, and it's not, oh, open's a full of sweats. What it really is that like people love this game, okay? And like if you love the game, you invest time into getting better at it, right? And open is a time versus time to value analysis, okay? It takes more runs and better cards and better mamas to make a good graded Uma, right? A small reminder: the Uma on the left is full MLB on all supports, and it never did better than 2 wins per ticket. Versus the one on the right, right, the Daiwa Starlet, she that run that I made her in, right, that is the Uma that helped me contribute to the 58 win streak, right. She did most of it herself, but a gold chip that I also had happened to score a couple of wins on her own, right. Looking at this Uma, do you think you could never beat this Uma? Do you think this is Uma's unstoppable? Absolutely not, right? And how did I make her with having that crazy win rate? Well, she failed a lot of her trainings, right? She also had she got depressed at one point. She went all the way down to a bad mood. She did end up having practice poor for a chunk of her run. It didn't matter. She was ended up being a killer, right? Like you need to understand how important it is to not just look at graded versus open as a skill issue or a try hard issue, but also you need to think of it as like a time investment one, right? A bad run can make a good open Uma. A bad run is just a trash Uma for graded. It will never work, right? And I know what some people say. I know that you should just play how you enjoy, and frankly, if you don't, I'll say this. I'll be small here. If you don't like doing math, I completely understand, and I would never recommend open for you. Right? You really do need to be busting out the calculator for open. But the thing is, like, while I can totally understand not wanting to stress about going under a limit, and especially if you have strong supports and legacies, just go for graded. It's fine. I understand. I agree. But like, there's no way that using a calculator is more painful than the psychic damage you take from losing 64 out of your 81 races in graded. I don't believe you if you tell me that, right? And I think there's good reason to believe that is the case, right? Uh, I know that there are people that were recommended for graded despite not running the URA. I know because I've had to teach them, right? There have been people that are in my Discord, links in the description, by the way, that I've tried to help, but I look at them and I go, wait, you haven't beaten the URA finale? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, stop. Don't play open. Don't play graded. Don't play the compets. Don't play competitive at all. Just get better at beating the finale, right? Like, there's we can look at Steam, right? We can look at Steam and say, okay, well, how many people have played the game to a deep degree? Okay, 62% of people have gotten 15 trainees, okay? And of those people that have gotten 15 trainees, so that's not free. You have to spend playing for at least a week, right? And investing a good chunk of your carrots into Uma, right? That takes a while. Only half of those people have gotten 5 good endings in career. That's not a lot of people. That means that statistically, a non-0% of the people who are currently watching this video cannot consistently beat the URI finale, and that's easier than the Unity Cup, right? The Unity Cup is even harder than that. I don't know why people were told to like go to the Wolves and grade. I want to give a special shout out to Red New in particular for being so real with people and be like, hey, if you can't beat the finale, don't worry about the cups. Just play the finale. Full appreciation for that dude. Okay, I don't know why people were trying to throw you into the wolves. Uh, right. Save your mental, relax, have fun, enjoy the storyline. Right. Now I have seen people that have said some very interesting things. Right. About they're too good for open, and that they're claiming that people who do open are just bad at the game. I'm like, guys, it's a gotcha. They can't control their gacha luck unless they want to spend money. Like you're really calling them poor at best. So be gentle with yourselves. And for clarity, I've basically never once heard a top level commentator or competitor or creator say this. Okay, the person who says this is almost always some random YouTube warrior in the comment section, right? And I want to compare that to what a lot of top level competitors will say about open being full of sweats. Okay, have a brain. Okay, the open versus graded reality is really that like making a good B Uma requires some pretty intense decision making. Okay, you have a cap on points. You can't just click Burr on friendship and say friendship go Burr and make everything the best that you can. There's a limit. Okay, you also have limited information, right? And you have to test personally a lot of what works. That's actually where the real time thing goes, is like testing in rooms if what your ideas even make sense, right? Um, and frankly, if your deck slash momos aren't strong enough, you can just do graded, right? Even as a free to play, right? If you can make highly competitive Umas where getting lucky is not required, then grade is totally viable. But that's not most of you, right? I know the reality. These are some memes from Taurus Cup and Gemini Cup that have come out, right? Like, the domain expansion, Haru, All Seeing Eyes, Aguri Cap, Gold Chip just wrecking people, right? Like this caused people to quit the game. Okay, people's Uma were machines that turn like 30 carats into 5 carats, okay? Or 30 carats into 10 carats, yeah? Like, people need to be real about what was happening in these cups, okay? They were not winning. Very few of you winning. Again, I'm going to be very clear. Uh, 16% of people, no, most of you, most of you only won about 16% of your races at best, okay? Many of you did worse. I know many of you did worse, okay? Don't try and lie, all right? So, as fun as it is to get washed and graded, I want to try and prove that open is more fun, right? So, the first thing I have to say is that uh, until the shakeup that was done by Cygames with the newest patch, graded was pretty solved for the past couple of CM. But the truth is, graded is still pretty solved. Like, you got to know that we are going to know everything basically the moments that the official patch comes out, and we can confirm the what stats change and what abilities change, right? Yes, we have some new combinations of things that have not happened before, but a lot of the core is still very well known. If you're following Red New, Soul, 7-1-M3, Victoria Frontier, Moo Cows, like, you're probably still gonna win, right? Like, they've had people have had a lot of time to figure out and fine tune the strategies. A lot of the good content creators know exactly what happened in previous champions meets, right? So like, you'll notice that they'll while they will probably pivot very quickly and a lot faster than your average person will, they're probably still gonna know what to do, right? Uh, and we even know things like to the result where like we have people who are saying about the strength versus ease of career, right? We know a lot of the base mechanics. And seriously, if you haven't checked out 7-1-M3 and Victoria Frontier yet, you should absolutely do so. Right? They should be your core two content creators for getting better at the game. I think those two are very, very core. Moon Cows too. I don't think I rated Moon Cows high enough. I probably should. Right? Go check them out. Okay. Uh, but the short version of all this is that the information you need to win is everywhere. Okay, we know a lot about how the game works. Okay, and I know Victoria Frontier was trying to say that like this is a very uncompetitive version of the CM Cups, but I don't buy it. Okay, the problem I have with this is that like this is the really every single cup has been a slaughter for everyone who knew what the meta was versus everyone who didn't, right? Because while I keep talking about it, how like your average global graded player has a 16% win rate, there is a significant like 7% of people that have something crazy like an 80% plus win rate in every single cup, right? That's probably a lot of people who are like typing in the comments right now, talking about how like I'm wrong. I did great and graded. I'm doing fine. You don't know what you're talking about. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Like that person right there, that person that's talking some mad shit in the comments right now. Yeah, you're right. You are doing better than the average person. You're doing great. You're killing it. Right? You're probably listening to the people who were winning in JP, like Victoria Frontier, like Moo Cows, right? And you gotta know that the people who are currently racing and making content in graded global, right, are making sure that we are drowning in information. That is the other sink that has made a lot of people like give up on Uma because like we knew everything. If you didn't want to do the thing, if you wanted to play Oshi Uma and didn't want to do all the other cool stuff, you were going to lose, and there wasn't a lot you could do about it. In graded, right? Um, Now, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Gemini Cup in particular, just to show off like how solved things were, right? We know what all these horses do. You know why to pick these Uma, right? You know exactly the stat line you're supposed to be aiming for, right? Anyone who told you something different was lying to you, right? You knew how much speed you needed, how much stamina, how much power, how much guts, how much wit, what skills to take, what you needed turf in, what the green skills were. Everything was told for you. And if you didn't know, it's because you didn't look it up at all, right? There's a reason that Gold Chip was in every run on Gemini Cup, and will be in every. You'll see Gold Chip in every CM, basically until we find a better end closer, right? Right? We knew everything about the track. We have incredibly detailed breakdowns for all of this. We know why different Umas are good, how we get to different good Umas, what they look like, what they do. You know everything, right? Just because the Unity Cup is showing up, just because there is a new patch dropping on the 11th, doesn't mean that we don't know why things are good. We always know why things are good in this cup, right? Now there are some people that are running things because they love them, and I agree. If you were running Grass Wonder in Gemini Cup, we both know you did not run Grass Wonder because she was meta. Shout out to Victoria Frontier for basically being such a baller, right? And being so passionate that he created an entire wave of people who said, "Fuck the meta, I'm gonna play Grass Wonder." Right? We also know why things were bad, right? We know what things make it so that some Uma don't do as well as others, right? In graded, especially, you can really break things down into the super duper nitty gritty. But what about open? Well, in open, there isn't really any content creator who's showing off what open wins look like until now. Until me. Hi, nice to meet you. Uh, Part of the problem though is that like no one has any idea what stats you need in open. Okay, um, and even if they did know what stats are possible, very few people understand how you combine the combination of stats and skills. Right? Like this gold chip, by the way, this one that like is frankly not that impressive. Right? With this abysmally amazing stat line of 4Ds, so 398 or less on 4 of their stats and 1,000 stamina. That Uma has a better win rate by itself than 90% of your average, sorry, than 70% of your average graded players, okay? It has more than double the win rate of uh of your average graded player, okay? Which is phenomenal. This pile of garbage, right? This like beautiful, beautiful Uma. I love it so much, right? Right? And so like just keep that in mind, right? If you look at that store, right? Oh my gosh. Now, um, the other thing I want to say is that in open, one of the things that makes open really fun is build variety, right? You can see everything, right? I personally, again, I won. I had a very good win rate, like be 93.8% above with Gold Chip and Daiwa Starlet, and with my debuffing Air Groove. I saw one of my buddies right over here. He had a very significant win rate with Agnes Tachyon and Maria Bryan. I saw triple front. This was before Sans Sty came out, right? So there was no good acceleration still for front runners, right? It didn't fucking matter. I saw triple frontrunner tops back before it was cool, okay? Right? And you also even I even saw the fabled Bakushin long runner. The fabled long Bakushin was phenomenal. I loved it so much. And that girl had wins, right? Like full credit to her, right? Like again, you need to remember, like triple front wasn't a thing until very recently, right? It's literally the past 2 cups that triple runner became popular. Back in Gemini, there was no Sans Sty, right? Like this was basically impossible in graded, okay, to see. Like this would never win. But in open, it flew. It worked. Okay? And the stat cap also means that you can do anything under that cap and have a good chance of it being viable, right? Like the 8,200 should not be read as, oh no, I need to do math. It should be read as, oh, I have an idea I want to try. That's what, right? All of these races have at least 20 wins, right? Not counting their teammates, okay? So that means at every single one of these terrible stat lines that you see in front of you actually has more wins than your average rated player, okay? Now, part of the question is how. There's a very conscious decision of what skills to stat ratio works. Okay. The truth is, no one knows. Okay, no one knows in open where you need to be for your stats to make everything worth it. It's not actually very clear at all, right? This particular Uma this one over here, this Narita Taishin, she had basically no skills. She literally just had deep breaths and standing by for Gemini Cup, right? Uh, and you compare that with the other extreme on the other end with that gold chip that has like literally like 12 skills, right? All three of these Uma have a win rate by themselves of 50% or higher. All right. So clearly if you think about what skills you take or think about what stat line you want very carefully, you can make some very good Uma that can win a lot of races, right? And here's my pitch for anyone who's watching this and is still unconvinced. If you can make the Uma on the left, can make the one on the right, and the one on the right doesn't have a single MLB, right? Uh, there that down there is her little her career card, right? So she had a level 40, a level 25, a level 30, a level 40, another level 40, and then a borrowed Super Creek. Okay, like this is not a very competitive graded Uma. She'll never make it there, but she was still top of the charts, very literally top of the charts for open Uma, right? I think it's very possible if you can make the one on the left, you can make the one on the right, right? Uh, and it's also worth remembering that, like, especially for Gold Chip in particular, like, you probably remember the Golshi event, right? I made this woman on accident. Okay, this gold chip that I made was just a random gold chip I had back from the the Golshi event, right? And she has a 90% top three rate in Gemini Open. Okay, right? Like, I want you to think about that the next time you have to redo a run with your gold chip, because she doesn't have the perfect stat block for this particular cup, okay? And like it's even better when I think about like how many runs I've seen people do for like their graded Uma. I've watched streamers like do 30 plus runs in a row and just never get what they want, okay? Like, I literally took 3 tries to make them my debuffing air group for Gemini Cup, and one of them was for Taurus Cup, okay? Like, one of them I made on the one of those 3 tries I made on the final day of Taurus Cup. I was like, "You know what? Hold on. I can just start getting ready for Gemini Cup." Part of why I'm so insistent on open is that I really enjoy like the sitting there and playing the story on like without skips, right? So I'll just read and I'll listen in. I'll listen to the girls like yapping at me in Japanese, and I'll have a great time like playing the visual novel version of the game, right? And like it's a lot easier to enjoy the story when you don't have to do 30 plus runs to make a competitive Uma. Everyone talking up by the like so I want you to like think about it this way, right? Everyone right now is talking about, oh no, we only have a week and a half before the next champions meet. What are we gonna do? Meanwhile, uh, I'm literally just going to reuse the Uma that I used for the last cup because they all got buffed. I had a great win rate in Cancer Cup, and all of the Uma that got that great win rate are getting buffed. I'm taking Air Groove. She got buffed. I'm taking Malazensky. She got sideways buffed because her specific stat line is getting buffed for that particular cup. It's beautiful. All right. I don't need to change shit and to see my win rate go up. I'm loving it. There's also some other things that you need to keep in mind. While frontrunners were big winners at the start of the Open Cup, frontrunners are also like they're not the demons that they are in graded. In graded, if you run into triple frontrunner and those frontrunners are good, you're probably just gonna lose, and there's not a lot you can do about it. In open, you have a chance of beating those frontrunners, right? Yes, they're still scary. A very good meta frontrunner is still very scary, especially when it's part of a team of meta frontrunners. But you can beat them, and that feels nice, right? Notably, Daiwa Rocket is a really big winner in open. In graded, you're never gonna see this, right? You're never gonna see 3 bad frontrunners in graded. You just gotta assume that you're not gonna be able to pull it off, right? The proc window for getting a good ult is just too small, right? It's not happening. But in open, you can consistently see Daiwa Rockets pulling off some amazing things. I only ate like 4. Hold on, how many losses did I have this last cup? So for this Leo Cup, we are looking at okay, like 6 losses, right? Yeah, so 6 losses, and one of those was to a diver rocket, right? That like successfully got off. She passed by the last front runner at exactly the right timing at the very start of the late race, and just flew, and it was beautiful. I wasn't even mad. I was like, "Yeah, baby, go, go, go!" Right? And like she can reliably beat Goldchip even in the Gemini Cup, which was like Goldchip's like best ever cup and best cup for a long time, right? If you can do that down in open, beating these hyper meta Uma with these random nonsense, you can do it anything, okay? Um, Now, of course, there's Miss Potential Woman, right? Narita Tyson, right? Miss Fraud, right? In grade 8, she was hurt severely by like some random nonsense that was happening with like, uh, really in general, like encroaching shadow is always gonna be a bit of a problem for her, right? Because like if there's no good place to get a good straight off, she's not very good. But in open, it's okay, right? It's hard to get good skills without accidentally going over on points, so it's a little easier to get some of these really cool results, right? And they're not the only one, right? There are tons of UMA that I'm just not gonna flash them around, but in general, you need to know that Oshi racing is super real in open UMA, right? You don't really have to worry about like a lacking recover specific skills or about your stat growth being awkward. You can basically always compensate for that with cards in open because you never have to be ideal in open. You just need to be better than everyone else. Right, right, and so that's what I'm really trying to tell everyone, right? Anything goes in open. Relax. I don't even do 3 runs per day, and I'm literally the champion of open, right? I've never lost a champions meet, right? I've gotten first place in every single one. I have crazy win streaks, like 58 for Gemini Cup, 40 for the Taurus Cup, 31 for the Leo Cup, right? Like incredible win streaks and win rates, right? I routinely have a 95% win rate. I routinely have 20 wins in a row, and I don't stress about the cup, even though I'm at the top of the charts, right? Like, please, join me in open. It's more fun. I promise. Um, small announcements then, just so that everyone's time up to speed. I'm gonna try and be uploading more of these videos. Okay. Uh, I'm going to work on improving things. This is kind of the end of the stream. If y'all want to just leave, you can. Right. Um, I'm gonna start putting it out there about making custom videos for specific UMA. That way, people can just get more of what they want and make their Oshi racing reality. Okay. So until then, though, bye bye.